welcome to Blood Moon Milk, the astrology show that comes out every new moon and every full moon to help guide you on your mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation journey. If you're new here, I'm your host Aurora, and I've been an astrologer studying, writing, thinking about astrology since way back in 2008. And I am coming to you from Madrid, Spain in this episode. I'll show you the view out my window so you can see. Um, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Look, there it is. There's some cool stuff behind me. Okay, maybe you can't really see because it's my laptop camera. But I'm hanging out here for a few more days, and then I'm headed back to the States. So there's availability if you want to have a session with me for when I get back after July 8th. So head over to the website, click book an appointment there if that's something you're interested in. I would love to see you and talk about what's going on in your unique astrology chart. But this episode is all about the full moon and Capricorn. I was a little busy during the new moon in Cancer, and I tried to get something out, but I was I was in Venice, Italy, and it was hot and it was crazy and didn't have a lot of time there. So I just put the chart up. And I hope that you guys, if you've been listening to me for a long time, you kind of know um, I hope you've learned things from me over the years, but you kind of know, like, okay, let's look at the moon, where it's falling in my house. Let's use that um, to set my intentions and meditate and do what feels right for you. And that's really the whole point of why I do this show is to help teach you as we go through life and this crazy planet to learn the tools that I have learned for myself. On an astrological basis to be mindful, to reflect, to think about the things that really are important to you, to help set goals that are aligned with um, the vision that you have for your life, but also using that in conjunction with the trends of the planetary movements and alignments so that we can align ourselves with beneficial timing. So hopefully, I don't think I've missed an episode in a while. But hopefully you've learned enough from me over the last few years to be able to kind of like put those pieces together for yourself. Um, I have to say, like, traveling is wonderful and it's one of my favorite things in the world to do, but it is exhausting. It is hard. I feel like my skin is breaking out. I feel kind of tired. And also just kind of watching what's going on in America from afar is not my favorite. And I've had a lot of personally like conflicting feelings about that while I'm here. And if you know me in real life and you see my travel photos, like I have been really in conflict with sharing, like such a curated part of my life while there's so much sort of upsetting stuff going on. And it's not that stuff has also been in my mind. So I just wanted to share that. That's also been one of the reasons why, like, I haven't been as active on social media for the show either, is I've been kind of just overwhelmed on a personal level. It's like nothing bad has happened, but it just feels like there's a lot of change in the air. And it almost feels like I've been sort of like, I don't want to say paralyzed, but I've been in this sort of state of like, what do I do? What do I say? How do I be authentic with myself and my audience, while also maintaining a sense of hope? Because I think that's really, really important and really invaluable to be able to embody and to have. And I am a hopeful person, but I also realize that right now that could be difficult for people to hear, and also for people to see it. But I do think that we are in the midst of a sea change, and that um, what we see and what we're going through now, I don't think it's going to I don't think it's going to last. Like, I just see change on the horizon in a pretty big way. And So let's just get into the astrology of this full moon and try to take it one day at a time together and be mindful. Be mindful of where we're putting our energy, whether that is, internally, the goals that we want to set for ourselves, and how we can show up with that sense of peace and inner harmony, regardless of the outside world. And this is where that meditation practice comes in handy because we're gonna really, really need it and need to have that practice to lean on in the upcoming days, weeks, months, and years that we're going through because we're going through, and I said this on the TikTok channel and it's pinned at the top of my profile. Like, this year is one of the biggest years of change we are ever going to live through. And change is often not easy. So while it certainly feels dramatic right now, and we're going to be in that sense of dramatic changes for some time to come, I do think there are benefits and good things on the horizon, but we are each being called to look within ourselves and find that sense of inner peace so that collectively we are not steered into that direction of feeding mass hysteria, mass fear, uh and like creating more chaos than necessary. Um, and so with that in mind, I'm not saying don't don't disregard what's happening. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying understand what's happening, and even in spite of what's happening, look within yourselves and resolve to be a beacon, if you will, a beacon of peace, of love, of harmony, and center yourself in those feelings, um, even if it's just for a minute, even if it's for 10 seconds, start small, build up, and it's a practice. It's a daily practice. And for me, that's why I do this show. It's not because I'm a great meditator. It's not because I'm a great manifester. It's because I want to share the things that I've learned in a way that maybe can help other people to level up their lives and to also find that sense of inner peace, which can hopefully then, transpire into more tangible, observable, um, 3D dimensional peace, love, and all the wonderful like it's a harmony that we can and will manifest on this planet together by centering ourselves, loving our neighbors, regardless of what they look like, regardless of where they come from, trying to understand their point of view and still offering up that sense of that peace and love to our neighbors and our loved ones and our families, even when it's difficult. Okay, let's look at this full moon in Capricorn. I'm going to start sharing my screen and I'm going to take a look at it, and just tell you what I see happening. Okay, I'm going to bring you up to my lap so I can look at this a little bit closer. So excuse my shifty, uh, very low budget sort of filming setup. Okay. All right. So this full moon will be occurring on the East Coast at 4:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that is going to be on a Thursday. Thursdays are ruled by Jupiter. So I don't know. We've got Jupiter up here close to where the sun is. Um, Although the sun is in the sign of Cancer, Jupiter will be in the sign of Cancer for the next 12 months approximately, but he's already made it 7 degrees into the sign. So he's moving fast. If you have any Cancer placements in that first 0 to 7 degrees, you've probably been feeling Jupiter's blessings, abundance, joy coming into your life in a real way. Um, but this is the, of course, Capricorn full moon. So let's start looking at the moon. So here he is over here. He's at 18 degrees 50 minutes of Capricorn. And it's going to be kind of a slow burn of a full moon. And the moon in Capricorn will be in the second house of this chart. So there could be financial movements, certainly big, I mean, based on the news alone, we've got big financial happenings that are going to be going on for quite some time. Um, but also we're being asked to reflect on our values and our value systems with that full moon in the second house of its own chart here. We have to remember that Capricorn is the sea goat. And I know that sounds really basic, but when you think about what that actually means, it's a blending of two different elements. It's an earth sign, yes, but it's the sea goat. It is emotional, but it's emotional underneath the surface. It's emotional in ways that people just don't see. And it then creates this sort of sense of duty and maturity and stability because of that deeply emotional springboard that is sort of fueling its behavior, if you will. So this full moon in the second house of the chart, again, it's going to be somewhat emotional, but it could be deeply psychosomatic or subconscious in some ways that fuels practical behavior, sober-minded behavior, and maybe even making some difficult but wise decisions. Capricorn energy tends to be really mature for its age, especially when it's younger. But then as it gets older, Capricorns that I know and people with strong Capricorn placements in their charts tend to kind of age in reverse, if you will. So they might start out like just maybe going like they might even look older when they're younger. Like I know of several Capricorns, especially Capricorn risings, who go prematurely gray or lose their hair at a young age. But then as they get older, they just like reconnect with this more youthful spirit where they feel like they can relax and they've maybe done some of the hard work earlier on in their life. So they've set themselves up to where they can chill out and enjoy some of the finer things in life. Now, a full moon is always opposite the sun. So we've got the sun here in Cancer at 18 degrees Cancer, 50 minutes. And Cancer is the feminine energy. Capricorn is the masculine energy of the astrological chart. Cancer is motherhood. Capricorn is fatherhood. So this is a full moon of polarity and dynamics between masculine and feminine energies. And sober-minded duty and nurturing in a holistic, meaningful, emotional way. Um, and so while full moons are always going to create some kind of opposition and tension, just because the sun and the moon, the luminaries, are in opposition, that is the definition of a full moon, um, this is one that's going to be, it's going to be kind of interesting because there's other things going on. We've got a grand Earth trine happening that is going to be really grounding for us. I'm looking mainly here at the North and the South node. We've got the South node in Virgo at 20 degrees here. That is almost perfectly trine within 1 degree to the full moon. So it could be that old things from the past are coming up because South node is karmic baggage, comfort zones, but it also tends to create a sense of ease. So there could be things from the past that need to be dealt with, that need to be resolved, that are coming up for discussion and being shown a light on. Because that sun over here in Cancer is shining a light on that full moon, but it's also working with this baggage, this Virgo sense of, again, Virgo is the sign of service to others. So, what is it that we're doing out of obligation, even martyrdom? Are we are we living our lives for other people, or are we living our lives in our truth? Now, we look over here at the North Node in Pisces at 20 degrees opposite that South Node in Virgo. And that gives us some interesting energy as well. Now it's going to be sextile to the full moon. So again, beneficial energy. North Node in Pisces, as I said, when we slipped into that period of time earlier this year, North Node in Pisces is the most difficult North Node placement in all of them to have to deal with. Although I think some people would suggest that actually North Node in Aquarius is the most difficult because the economy and the housing market tends to tank. But I think actually it's what we're being called to do. In terms of trusting the universe to support us, that can be the most difficult. And that's, I think certainly something many of us are reckoning with at the moment. But that North Node energy is working really nicely with the sun placement here. So while the full moon is dealing with the past, the sun is looking at the future, and certainly as the sun moves into 19 and 20 degrees of Cancer, just a couple of days following on from this full moon event on July 10th, that sense of harmony and destiny could even get more intense. And we are resolved to let things go from the past, to move forward into that sense of spiritual alignment, that sense of the universe is supporting us. The universe wants us to tap into divine inspiration, creativity, and how we connect with each other through those things. Now, I know my personal perspective is colored. I'm an artist and has been a professional creative my entire adult life. So I think that truly and believe that art brings people together, even in the darkest moments. And one of the things I think that can be stronger now, stronger than rhetoric or politics even, can be art, to get us to see things from a different perspective, to get us to feel things collectively. So tap into your inner creative now, especially if you have Pisces placements, Virgo placements. This creativity is really going to be aligning you towards a brighter future where your gifts are actually appreciated, but it might not be easy at the moment. Okay, let's keep going. So, we've talked about the moon. Let's talk about Mercury. Mercury's up. Um, He's way up here at 13 degrees of Leo. Now, Mercury at 13 degrees Leo, who is he talking to? Is he talking to anybody specific or important? Well, yep, he sure is. He's just a whole 30 degrees away from Mars over here at 13 degrees of Virgo. So this is a semi-sextile. Now, semi-sextiles, we're familiar with sextiles. Those are harmonious interactions between planets that are in different signs or elements that are harmonious. So that'd be air and fire or earth and water, but at the exact degree. So that would be a sextile. But a semi-sextile is just a 30-degree mark away from being exact. And this is very, very close. So we see Mars is here at 13 degrees, 32 minutes of Virgo. And meanwhile, Mercury is over here at 13 degrees, 29 minutes of Leo. So while often Earth and fire don't necessarily gel well together, Earth can be a little bit, it can kind of kill fire's buzz a little bit. In this instance, at this degree of separation at 30 degrees, the semi-sextile, I think Mars and Virgo is actually going to be supportive of Mercury and Leo's flamboyance. It's going to give things a practical air and the ability to really talk things through with a degree of practicality. And how do we approach something, while Mercury and Leo is going to be able to deliver that message with a lot of style, a lot of flair, a lot of class, and an artistic vision, if you will. So that's really great. I love it when I see Mercury and Mars working together. They're kind of they're both masculine energies. Mercury is really mentally agile. Mars is that engine that really can go, go, go and get stuff done. So when those two are working together, that is indicative of like things culminating. And this is a full moon, so we're going to be seeing energies really at a peak. So communication will be happening with style, with flair, but not just all talk. It will be action as well with a detailed plan to go with it. So that's exciting. Um, and so let's see, what else? Is he talking to anybody else in a really positive way? No, not. I mean, he's really kind of only making that one connection with Mars, which is great. That's good enough for me. Let's look at Venus next. Venus has entered into Gemini. She'll be at 6 degrees of Gemini in the seventh house of this full moon, and she'll still be pretty close to being conjunct with Uranus, who is at 0 degrees of Gemini during this full moon. Now, if you listen to or subscribe to the Daily Dose, my daily email newsletter that comes out Monday through Friday, every day, and the Friday is the weekend edition, I went and did a long um, talk about how Uranus moving into Gemini is really the start of a new era. We've had Tauruses dealing with Gemini in their sign for the last 6 years or so. Well, next up is Gemini. So the next 6, 7 years, Uranus will be traveling through the sign of Gemini. Uranus really likes to be in Gemini. It's quick thinking. It's the planet of genius. It likes new ideas. It's rapid development. So that's going to be a lot of quick changes, a lot of movement happening, and things that are just maybe like bolts of lightning in terms of inspiration, but then being able to talk to the right people about it and get things moving quickly to make those things happen. Um, Whereas in Taurus, it has shaken up things like the financial system, the housing market to some degree, but also it's brought us things like cryptocurrencies because Taurus is about currency and wealth and what we value, what we place value on. So similarly, I think within the next this period while Uranus is in Gemini, I think we'll be seeing revolutions in terms of the way we communicate. Um, the way we travel, especially short distance travel, could really come up for revision under this cycle. But here during this full moon specifically, I think there could be spontaneous opportunities to meet somebody new, especially for women, since Venus rules women. Venus and Gemini likes to flirt, um, in term like it likes quippiness, it likes witty discourse, banter back and forth. So there could be these little conversations that start up and then just kind of start to kind of sparkle because there's that wittiness, that flirtiness in the air around this time. Now, Uranus is at the anaretic degree, 0 degrees of Gemini, so this could be really intense, but it might not be long-lived since we don't really have a lot of other. I mean, well, actually, I take that back. I take that back. And here's why. Because Saturn is over here and he's direct at 1 degree of Aries. So this is, again, it's another harmonious sextile. We're having two grand we're having two grand trines and two sextiles between major outer planets during this full moon. So what happens now could actually sort of snowball into something that does last for a long time. Because Saturn is here at 1 degree, almost 2 degrees, but it's close enough to where that fiery impulsive nature, that's sort of being tampered by, like tamped down and structured by Saturn, could mean that there is something lasting available to us being built now, especially if you have fire signs at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 degrees, maybe even 5 degrees of those fire or air signs. So just keep that in mind. Um, but it could sort of like things that happen now could sort of like peter out and then come back, peter out and come back, because of that erratic nature of Gemini. Um, it's and also Uranus too is sort of like it's it's Gemini is like sort of vacillating. It's always looking for other people's opinions and what it wants answers from outside of itself. Um, whereas Uranus itself as a planet is really binary and off and on, and it is pretty much opinionated and thinks for itself, no matter what. But in Gemini, it tends to kind of look more externally than it does internally. But Uranus likes to be in an air sign. It naturally rules the sign of Aquarius. So this could be a really beneficial time for Aquarians as well as Geminis, and Libras too, to a lesser extent. But Geminis and Aquarius are really going to be getting the bulk of this. And then speaking of Aquarius, we've also got Pluto over here at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So fire and air signs are really getting a bit of a boost from this full moon from the outer planets. So if you're a fire sign or you're an air sign with those placements at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees, you're going to be feeling the beneficial impact of these transits over the long haul. And there could be things that are happening now in your life that are turning points that are like in hindsight, you look back and you're like, yeah, that's the time when I decided to do this or to do that. And really everything else fell into place right after that. So just, try to stay aware and go with the flow of things that are coming up now for you during this full moon. Look at where the full moon falls in your chart. Look at where these slow moving outer planets are too. Um, and we've also got this really interesting near conjunction happening. This conjunction is going to continue to be a theme until next year in February. February 20th next year is going to be potentially the biggest day of the year astrologically for sure next year, but also just potentially of our lifetimes. And I will make a whole video about this at some point because I think it's just that important. But we're getting a little taste of it now, sort of preview because of where the planets are now. But the planets are getting ready to go retrograde. Neptune is already retrograde. Saturn will go retrograde soon. He'll go back into Pisces. Pluto is already retrograde, so we're getting this little taster preview of the energy to come. But that February 20th conjunction that'll happen next year is going to be the closest thing I can really like attribute to it would be the triple conjunction that happened in 2020 that kind of kicked off COVID. Now, it's going to be different themes, but it's going to be similarly powerful. Um, And so we're getting a sense of what that is and what that looks like now, but then it's going to disseminate and sort of, you know, kind of go its separate way. The next year in February, it's going to come back together and really set in stone what these themes are, what things are going to look like for us for a whole, it's a whole new game after that. So this year is all about endings and about new possibilities, but I don't think those real beginnings are going to be like truly, truly taking root and kicking off until next year. So, you know, endings are often sad. They're, it's hard to say goodbye and change is hard. But it opens the door for fresh new things to come in. So you just have to open that door, right? Otherwise you stay stuck and you don't grow. And there was something I was reading the other day. It was just a little phrase, and it said, if you think unpredictability is hard, try staying stagnant, try routine, because that's lethal. And it's lethal in that you stop thinking outside the box. You start getting complacent, you get lazy, and you just fall into this sort of ho-hum, middle of the road place without really growing and questioning the world around you. And that's what they mean by like it's lethal.
So it's good to grow. It's good to question things. It's good to experience changes and see new things and like have that, like cultivate that sense of wonder in the world. Okay. What else? What else are we looking at here? We also have, so this is interesting to me. The full moon is at 18 degrees, and we've got in Capricorn, and we have Eros. Eros is the planet of lusty passion. He's not really a planet, he's an asteroid, but he's at 18 degrees too, but he's at 18 degrees of Aries. So this is square. There could be, and squares bring passion through tension. It's not just, it's like you give somebody this smoldering look, or you find yourself like really sort of at like this crucible, this place of um will they, won't they? And then, fireworks come because somebody gives in or somebody takes a risk of some sort. And certainly at 18 degrees of Aries, that's a risk-taking degree and sign. But with Capricorn, the moon, that feminine energy is like less likely to be taking the risk. So masculines out there, might be more driven to take that risk, take that leap of faith, if you will, into some bold, unknown new frontier. Um, so that's interesting. So there could be uh, this could be some sort of potential like love affair of the heart that happens for some of us, especially if you have 18 degrees very prominently in your chart at a fixed sign. It could be more likely to happen. What else is going on? We've got Chiron, he's at 26 degrees of Aries. Is he talking to anybody right now? Let's see. I'm just looking around. He's he's like in a very loose sextile um to the where are you who are you talking to? I mean I don't really feel like he's doing much of is square Pluto and like out a sign square, but that's kind of a weak influence. Oh, he's trying them his conjunct Eros. Yeah, I don't know. Chiron's kind of sitting this one out to me. Um, I mean, you could say he's in like an out of sign trine to the midheaven here, or a sextile of the midheaven, but I don't really like that because that would have to be at 26 degrees of Leo for that to really work for me. But, it's possible. It's possible. Um, I don't love out of sign stuff as much, but it can certainly have a bearing. So things could be sort of healing in terms of finding work or getting jobs or having communications around career moves, especially if you have um, that 1 degree Virgo placement in your midheaven. Um, so that I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I put the chart up on the website if you want to go check that out in more detail. It's up there for you to take a look at. Um, Pretty sure I've talked about everybody that matters to me in this chart. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Um, okay, and so that's it. That's all I've got for this full moon. I didn't have time to write questions for mindfulness, but look at your chart, see where this full moon is falling, look at where all the planetary placements are, compare that with your chart, and see if any of the big outer planets are hitting of your placements, or moving into new houses on the cusps. And if you want to set up a session with me, go over to the website, click book a session. I'll be available after July 8th. And I hope to see some of you. If you haven't, oh, also, I'm going to be doing an event in New York on August 8th, the 8/8 portal. More details to come. I'm going to be working out all that stuff when I get back to the US. So it's going to be exciting if you're in New York. It would be great to see you. And until next time, I wish you all the best the stars have to offer. Thanks. Bye.